All right, everyone, it's that time of the week, that very sad time of the week, when we welcome Stevie back to the channel. Stevie, I came across this the other day, actually, just found it. I was sitting on the couch and I just heard this sound of moaning, and I couldn't work out where it was coming from, so I followed the noise and it led me to this. The resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah, thanks for that, actually. I think they got the caricaturist, or the artist, shall we say, definitely got me in a good day there. But no, thanks for inviting me back on. Lovely to see you. And do you know, I've been chinned by a few people because our extreme banter that we have is sometimes taken as seriously. So do you know what? I'm going to be nice to you tonight. I'm not going to say stuff like it was great to not have you in the pub last week and all that. I'm actually going to be sound to you, so good morning to you.
Well, I've already scuppered my plans of being sound to you within 30 seconds of this video, so we'll plough on. A number of things to chat about today. It's not going to be a quiet video, but obviously we're going to start with a match that didn't even include Celtic. Well, it's actually not included anyone yet. I'm talking about Dundee versus Rangers that was called off for the second time on Wednesday evening. It passed an inspection originally at 11 a.m, just as I was going to bed, but failed a second one at 3:30 p.m. due to some rainfall in the intervening period. The match is now set to take place next Wednesday. Rangers, unsurprisingly, using some scathing language in a statement coming from Ibrox. They say the negligence and unprofessionalism demonstrated by Dundee Football Club, where they have repeatedly breached SPFL rules, continues to have a damaging effect on the top professional league in the country. I enjoyed I don't know exactly who it was, but Dundee sent someone out to speak to Sky Sports and he basically went, global warming. I enjoyed that response. What have you made of this, Stevie? Do you have any thoughts as a Celtic fan? I guess it's got some sort of relevance to us with the title race as it is.
Just thanks for reminding me this is a Celtic channel, mate. A minute or so when you're talking about Rangers, they're going to love that one, Hamish, if you really set yourself up for a fall there. But yeah, my main concern is the same as before. It just makes our league look absolutely ridiculous. And after Sky talking it up and everyone all over the world talking up the weekend, it was getting record figures and everything. It's now back to making it's just we daft Scottish football and what we like, and there should have. I think I'm just annoyed because I'd like to go into Saturday's game. Selfishly, as a Celtic fan, I'd like to go to Celtic Park and know exactly definitively what position we're in. Like, Rangers, say for example, the one tonight, drew tonight or whatever, it means we go into Celtic Park knowing that the result at the end of the game is the result that is, valid, and we don't need to worry about any games in hand, and we can just look ahead and plan those games, and the team can do the same. But it's just almost like no matter what, we're always going to have to win the games. So, the way I see it is it's like 6 in the league anyway. 6 cup finals is a cliche would say, but ultimately, no matter what we do, it's in about what another team do realistically. So if they win their 2 games, they're still a point clear, and it just annoys me with this whole game in hand thing, and harks back to when you think about it, season 07-08, wasn't it? The one that famously got extended because there was like game in hands there because Rangers were playing in I think 4 competitions at the time as well.
We were off to Japan obviously as well.
You really are riling people when they watch this video. A great tour, that, some laugh. But that was the thing, I remember we were winning all our games, ticking them off, but there was still so much anxiety because we're always having to keep an eye out on what another team do before we can really celebrate and go, it's really in our hands and everything. So yeah, that all worked out, and I'm hoping this is the same, but it is ultimately frustrating that something as simple as planning and a contingency could lead us to knowing what's happening definitively on Saturday. I guess that's all I've got to say on it, really, and my thoughts on the way that Scottish football operates. But we really just have to focus on ourselves, I guess, Hamish.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the point I would make is that the opportunity seemed there to play this game last midweek. That wasn't taken for whatever reason. You can draw your own conclusions there. It may have been broadcasters, although there seemed just as much kind of competition for Sky Sports this midweek with the Champions League as there was last midweek, when I think there was some Premier League games actually not on Sky. Champions League's obviously not on Sky either. So was it a request from one of the clubs perhaps not to play the game last week? I guess we probably won't find out. I'm just happy we've got the points banked. I'm actually quite relaxed about the whole situation of Rangers now. I think Sunday, which we'll come on and chat about a little bit, the fact that things are still in our hands, I think, is really important. We're not relying on any favours, from other teams against Rangers. We know, regardless of what happens with Dundee, Rangers, any other Rangers match, if we win our final 6 league matches, we will be champions. And I think that was the big takeaway from Sunday at Ibrox. But yeah, as a kind of an overall league point of view, it's obviously not a great look. Neither is the next topic we're going to come on to. Aberdeen have called Scottish football's version of VAR not suitable for purpose after the Hawkeye system failed in their clash with Livingston on Saturday at the Set Fair Arena. Stevie, what do you make of this, first of all?
Good on them. They're completely right. I mean, me and you
No.
in the debut of VAR.
Sorry, I think you've misunderstood. The Set Fair Arena.
Oh, aye, that's right. The Anthony Macaroni, that's away now, isn't it? It's still the old Almondvale to me. No, Aberdeen are spot on. Aberdeen are good on them for that statement. But Hamish, we've been very consistent about VAR in this country. You cast your mind back to October 2022. Hearts 3, Celtic 4, we won the game, and even after winning the game, we were critical of VAR. We could have easily lost it, dropped points, and then started moaning, and it would have been a case of sour grapes, you don't like it, just because Celtic didn't win, all that crap. But if you cast your mind back, we won the game, but it was a shambles. It was clear after that game, it wasn't fit for purpose in Scotland, with the part-time refs, with the fact that it was clear that there was no adequate training for people at Clydesdale House. We were saying this at the time, and this is just us as a couple of fans, just speculating as well, but it's became clear 2 years later now, pretty much. It's really not fit for purpose. It's affected not just Celtic, it's affected other teams, and some of the calls and some of the decisions you've seen has just been utterly moronic, to be honest. So good on Aberdeen for calling it out. I'd like to see other teams backing that up, and to be honest, Celtic should have been calling out VAR a long time ago. Plenty of other teams should have done it, not just Celtic. There's so many things in this country, with VR it's every time you watch it back, you're wondering, you cast your mind back to that. The 2022 was just a real shit show for it when you had the Motherwell one at Fir Park with Jota's goal, the angle, the Ross County game we talked about, Dundee United with the penalty that they got at Celtic Park. It was clear there in those early days, right? You're thinking, maybe in the first few months, that'll iron out. And then as that season progressed, it was clear that they were still making the same old mistakes. And even on Sunday, I know that Celtic are lodging a complaint about that as well. But yeah, I think Aberdeen are completely spot on. VR's not fit for purpose in Scotland, and I'd love to see in Scottish football VR just been scrapped completely. Get back to the way it was, have a stand against it. Like, we've not even got the budget for it as well. Like, you look at down in England and you look in other leagues, you look at the way the VR system's covered, you look in the old European Cup, how that's all done. It's it's proper. There's a lot of cameras there, and it's covering just about everything. And then you go to the grounds in Scotland where for the start, there's teams haven't even got the budget for it, so they'll probably bemoaning the fact that it's already present. And then you look at they've only got like 6 cameras there and so many angles.
Yeah.
And I'm hiding to nothing, and the whole thing is an absolute shambles. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to. I'm not going to get my way. Neither do you. I think it is here to stay. It's something we're going to have to put up with. But I have my doubts it's going to improve. I think it's going to get even worse, to be honest.
Yeah, you've covered pretty much what I wanted to say over the next few minutes. So thanks for giving us such a thorough answer, Stevie. What I want to do is just kind of briefly let everyone know just what's happened, because you might have seen this Aberdeen thing but not be totally aware. So basically, they scored a really late goal against Livingston at the weekend. It was a 0-0 draw, and this, I think, was the 92nd minute. Bojan Miovski scored a pretty kind of acrobatic finish that was eventually, it was given originally and then chalked off by VAR. Angus MacDonald, who's here, the closest player to the camera there, kind of kind of bending over slightly. He was ruled offside after what Aberdeen say was a legitimate late winning goal by Bojan Miovski. Basically, the story here is that Aberdeen say they had a meeting with the SFA and it was agreed that there had been a fault with Hawkeye and they hadn't been able to draw the normal lines you would see, and basically the VAR officials had to guess whether McDonald there at the back was offside or whether the deepest Livy player, who you can see there is kind of partially obscured, the one, you know, quite far away, whether he was playing him on. So basically they had to guess, and Aberdeen's argument here is that they feel that the goal that was initially given shouldn't have been overturned unless the VAR officials could be certain. So yeah, it's a technical error with VAR here, which I think the only example I can think of, other example of a technical error, is the Jota one at Fir Park, when the camera that should have been focused on Jota was focused on some guy eating a pie or something like that.
Listen, I wasn't at that game.
Yeah. The bottom line here is that Aberdeen say the version of VAR that Scottish football has, or more accurately can afford, is not suitable for the purpose in which it is intended. It perfectly highlights the limitations in the technology, the inappropriate implementation, the consistency of decision making, and the negative impact on the overall experience for the match-going supporter. So we've got this VAR light on the go. I think that's what they called it originally, and it was kind of, it means that, I think as you said, they only use 6 cameras for non-broadcast matches. Obviously Motherwell Celtic back then was a non-broadcast match, if you might not remember, but it was a pay-per-view match. The Aberdeen Livingston game at the weekend was obviously non-broadcast as well, so 6 cameras for each, and it's causing issues, even to be fair, at like the weekend when VAR has access to more cameras for a broadcast match like Rangers versus Celtic. We're still having issues with VAR and the way it's been done. But yeah, it's interesting to see Aberdeen, you know, calling it out. I've got some issues with VAR globally. I just think like VAR looks for mistakes now rather than just like, so see, for example, that Fabio Silva one at the weekend, I don't know if we'll ever hear the audio from that. It's probably gone missing again. But I know for a fact Nick Walsh would have been in John Beaton's ear saying, oh, like, we think there's maybe contact on the right knee of Fabio Silva, or left knee, whatever it was. John, I'm going to recommend you come over and have a look at the screen. This is what you're looking for. Whereas what I think should happen is that they basically say, right, John, I want you to have another look at this, and then total silence. And by the way, another point is, see all this slow-mo of incidents that are happening in normal speed. I think it should just be a full speed highlight that they see, a full speed replay that they see on the screens as well. All this slowed down nonsense, I think, just is crap as well. So that's a couple of my thoughts. But in terms of the Scottish football stuff, it seems like this VAR light is just not working. Aberdeen aren't happy. Celtic have called it out. We called it out after that Motherwell incident. What do you think the solution is here? Because like VAR isn't going to be scrapped. Scottish football just not going to do that. Are we just going to have to live with stuff like this? Do we find a way to fund the full VAR? Would that even make a difference?
Yeah, but also as well, as I've said, training these officials up, and it's going to take a lot of time too. That's been like we addressed the concerns in 2022. We said before, when you've got part-time officials and they don't take it seriously, there's no consequences for the mistakes. Look at John Beaton, for example, and you know, even Willie Collum, who's made howler after howler for various teams, is still operating in that circle in Scottish football. It's these guys don't take it seriously, and that's the whole concern about it, and it's never really going to impact their career. And yeah, it's another thing, the fact there should be like double cameras to cover every angle. Yes, that's going to require funding, and yes, that's going to probably require funding from the fact that I don't think we're going to be getting that at all, because we're relying on that funding from the TV deals and everything, which is already an absolute shambles, as you know, Hamish. So I do think we're unfortunately going to have to live with it. Look, we've had to live with a lot of crap in Scottish football, and it shouldn't be the case. We should be, highlighting just how positive it can be and how passionate it is and how it is a unique world, but it's all for the wrong reasons, like that thing with Dundee for an example. And most leagues, like, the fact that it's called off once, most leagues will go, right, get something in place for if that does happen again, and get the game played a second time. It can't be, it can't be rolling on and on. It's just a mess. The way that the fans are treated, the way that the prices just shoot up for what you get in Scottish football, the way that the away fans now when you go to games are dwindling less and less, and there's been some of the state of some of the stadiums as well, as I said, and you go to just aesthetically looking at McDermott Park, it's disgusting.
You still managed to slag off St Johnstone, yes.
I know. The multicoloured seats, though, when you look at the way that the camera faces on it's like right for the 90s stuff. Just sounds daft, but making them all blue would just be it would just make it look so much better. But I'm going off on a tangent. I'm aware that this is a Celtic show, and we're spending our time doing what we did 2 years ago in the piss and rain outside Celtic Park, moaning about VAR, moaning about refs, and talking about other teams more than the Celts. So
Okay, I'm happy to leave that there. Just sticking with Aberdeen briefly, Celtic have confirmed a third phase sale of tickets for next Saturday's Scottish Cup semi-final. Talk that Aberdeen have handed back 10,000 tickets for the match, so there should be a bumper hoops crowd inside Hampden. Right, thoughts on the weekend, Stevie? The weekend that's passed. Most importantly, how did you get on with your booking at a unnamed establishment until 11 p.m?
That 11 p.m. I was a wee bit ambitious. Overdone it by 6 o'clock, and the game was that stressful. Really, that I can't. I'm not a young man anymore, Hamish, as we know. I was back up the road for 8 o'clock. Don't worry about that. But hey, listen, a good time was had with people that you won't know. But I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I'm looking forward to having no bevy before or after the game. Looking forward to getting drenched when it's April, when it should be scorching. That'll be a good laugh. But I am looking forward to seeing Celtic. I'm feeling a lot more confident about us now. Like I know that since we came back in February, you started the channel back, wasn't it? And you had me outside Celtic Park after Kilmarnock saying, "Look, if Rangers go top, I don't know if this team can come back from it." What I saw in the first half on Sunday, going to Ibrox with no fans and a really difficult venue, and outplaying Rangers in that first half, and coming back for Ibrox, not losing for twice this season, it says a lot about that squad. And I did think they showed a lot of bottle. I think they showed a lot of guts to do that. And as I say, they were just let themselves down with not getting the 3 points. I'm not going to be nitpicking or anything, but their performance really did inspire me a wee bit on last week, and I'm really looking forward to going to Celtic Park. Like a lot of this season, when I've been going to Celtic Park, like I've been basically making this face going in, like, and no being up for it. And I think it's not just me; a lot of other fans will feel that way. But I really am looking forward to the end of the season. I'm hoping we just blitz them. Hoping we play like we did in the first half, but sustain that throughout the rest of the game on Saturday. And I'm looking forward to it. And I think the crowd will be up for it as well, Hamish, and I hope they will. Yes, I know it's Celtic Park. This season games have been pretty turgid, but this is hopefully after Ibrox there, the fans will really get behind the team, because listen, if I'm up for it after this season, then hopefully the other cynics among us are. I'm looking forward to it.
Just on the weekend, then, you might have already covered this, but do you look at it as being a good afternoon that could have been better had we won the game? Like, are you, I dare say at full time, you were pretty gutted we didn't win the match, but at this stage, do you think not losing may have been like the most important part?
Yeah, that's what I said to you when we were previewing the game. Just not losing the game was vital for me. So I already know that I've seen better Celtic sides go to Ibrox playing worse Rangers sides, and yeah, I know recently we have been spoiled, but you're remembering where I grew up and everything in 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and really it's always a difficult place to go. It doesn't matter if you're up against a Clermont team, or a Beale team. They're going to have large amounts of control in a game, Hamish. You've got to also remember it's about how the type of games are just defined by wee spells, and I thought we made the most of the spells we had in the game. And yeah, I came away for the game gutted that I saw it as maybe a couple of points dropped, because we shouldn't be, going 3-2 up with 2 minutes to go in normal time, and then the injury. We should be able to see that out. I think Brendan should have made subs, and I think Brendan should have definitely organised the team to be all tight and compact after it. Some individual mistakes for Johnston, Iwata, and of course Yang cost us. Yeah, but ultimately I can't focus on all the individual mistakes because it was the team ultimately earned that draw. And yeah, I'm looking glass half full, shall we say, in this one, because I think it was important we didn't get beat. And so far against Rangers this season, that's 7 points off them. Considering we've been really critical and we've dropped daft points elsewhere, I think that's only a positive, Hamish.
Yeah, we're still top of the league. Rangers still have that game in hand against Dundee that they'll play at some stage when global warming calms itself down a little bit. What is it that gives you confidence? Because I sense confidence from you and everyone else I speak to. And me, I'll be honest, this is probably the most confident I've felt that Celtic, will win the league since, obviously earlier on in the season when we're well clear. I certainly, I go back to that Motherwell away game, just started Celtic AM and the Hibs game as well, and even the Aberdeen game before it. And I was watching those games thinking, this doesn't feel like a title-winning team, and this could go off the rails pretty quickly. And the team somehow found a way to dig in at that stage when things weren't good. And I don't know, I just feel like for the first time in a wee while, like I'm really confident that this Celtic team aren't going to slip up in daft games. That could be proven to be nonsense at the weekend when we draw with St Mirren, but I just sense something's different. What is it gives you the confidence? Is it the manager, the players? Is it the fact that, let's be honest, Rangers maybe don't thrive under pressure the same way we do?
I think going to Ibrox in such difficult circumstances when they would have been right up for that game, and again the team not losing that game was huge because I don't care what anybody says, Rangers were massive favourites for that. I mean, that crowd were right up for it, and they have a fairly, I know they get beat against Motherwell right and earlier in the season against us Aberdeen, but overall, over the years, Rangers have a fairly formidable record. Ibrox, as we said, against bigger teams like in Europe, and I would class us alongside that. I think it was a huge one, and there seems like a real togetherness. Like I did say the other day, after we scored that third goal, Brendan lost it a wee bit. Now I think Brendan and the players should be wired different to us. Now I understand they're not robots; they are human beings just like me and you, but they're wired different to the point that they scored the third goal, but pretty much after the celebration there should have been something in their head going, right, still likely going to be 8 or 9 minutes here, let's screw it up. But it did feel like to them, they felt that was a real defining goal, but I haven't really understand we did throw the points away, and there's some concerns tactically, and I still think there's a draw in us, but I also think there's one in Rangers. I honestly think it's going to go to the last day, but I think the team do have the guts for it, and there does seem like a real togetherness and a belief, despite how I was criticising the team for the third goal, like in general, like just after it, I would say I don't think I've seen scenes like that from them all season. I think when we scored against St Johnstone, McGregor made it one each. Everybody was all galvanised there, but you saw a week or so later, we went lost to Kilmarnock. But no, I think the fact that we're getting Rio Hatate back, who I thought was really good on Sunday. Matt O'Reilly looks as if he's coming into form again. I think I've listened to a couple of pods where they were saying they didn't think O'Reilly was that great and his passing was a bit wayward, but I thought Matt O'Reilly played pretty well. Again, I think the fact that CCV, despite we're conceding 3 goals, with CCV at the back, which is often pretty rare, but CCV again I thought was excellent on Sunday, and just having him, Hatate and Matt O'Reilly hopefully getting back to their best is going to inspire the rest of the team. And let's not forget guys like Daisen Maeda, who was, I thought, the best player in the park for us on Sunday. Alistair Johnston, as much as I think his form was a wee bit iffy at the weekend, I'm hoping he has a strong end to the season as well. And yeah, Joe Hart made really good saves on Sunday too. And again, these guys have got the experience, Hamish, when you look at what they've won the last couple of seasons with Celtic. They know how to go over the line, and it's a psychological factor that is my big strong belief. Him, the spine of that team, him, CCV, Hatate, McGregor, and Furuhashi up front, they know how to get us over the line. They know how to win titles, and I'm just hoping that their experience is really crucial here. But it's really changed days from how I was feeling a couple of weeks ago about this Celtic team.
Yeah, and we got into the weekend, and listen, we're still very much on the edge. We're still only like a draw away from things being out of our hands, but I kind of like that in a weird way. And don't get me wrong, I would have loved to win at Ibrox, and we'd obviously been in a pretty amazing position had we managed to hold on, and it's really frustrating that we didn't, and it feels like a missed opportunity, etc. But in a weird way, it's almost kind of good that like the margin for error is zero, basically. Well, it is zero. We need to win every league game, or certainly that's the thought at the moment. We need to win every league game. Time will tell whether that plays out, but I think that's good. Like, I think this is a team that needs that challenge. For me, this season, our issue has been almost motivation hasn't been there at times earlier in the season. It seemed as if the players have been going through the motions. Maybe that's been a bit of a hangover from, Ange Postecoglou leaving. And, the demands maybe not been quite as high under Brendan Rodgers in the early days, or at least the demands being different. But I just sense now that the demands are really high. There's no room for error, and I think that's good. And I think you'll see that at the weekend against St Mirren. I'm looking forward to that match. We had Brendan Rodgers on Celtic TV yesterday. I enjoyed him calling Daizen Maeda the king of the lost cause. That was a good way to put it. He seems very happy with things at the moment, Stevie. He seems quietly confident about how things are going. He barely said he didn't say a bad word about the performance at all after the game on Sunday. Despite us, throwing away a 2-goal lead in the second half and a 3-2 lead late on. So he's very happy. He also said that he's learned not to be too emotional from Liverpool Man City's title race a decade ago, obviously when he was the manager at Anfield. So I thought that was an interesting question on Celtic TV, and also an interesting answer. But I think he feels good. And do you think we're going to get a big performance on Saturday against St Mirren, or do you think it will be a real slog?
Oh no, I don't think it will be a slog. I think the team will be quite up for it. I think the fans will be up for it. I think there'll be a very good energy around Celtic Park, and it's not something we've seen enough of. And hopefully reminiscent of the time we beat Dundee 7-1 Celtic Park. The fans were right up for it then, and the players fed off it. And I honestly think they will on Saturday. The key is a fast start as well, because you're saying it's a slog now. I don't think so, but I could be completely wrong if the first 20-25 minutes is what we've seen from games like against Kilmarnock, Ross County, and you name anything from that wee winter spell we had after the break, and just maybe before Christmas too. So yeah, that is the key. But I think if Maeda and Kuhn start like they did at Ibrox, for example, I don't think Maeda's going to get a goal after like 20 odd seconds. But if they start well, and midfielders get a real grip of the game, which I think they can, especially if it's the same. I think it will be the same midfield as what we saw at Ibrox. I think Iwata will keep his place. I would expect Hatate and O'Reilly to start too. But also I would like to hopefully see if possible McGregor coming on and getting more minutes and getting up to speed, because we're really going to need him for the run in 100%. But yeah, I'm hoping it's not a slog. As I say, I'm looking forward to going. I think a lot of fans will too. I think there'll be a real positive energy around Celtic Park, and I'm hoping that an early goal will be crucial for us, of course, because the last time we played St Mirren at home, remember they scored it after a few minutes, and it's a really tough game. I think St Mirren too, that same got top six, and it could be a tricky one because there's no really any pressure on them, but sometimes that can work in these teams' favour. So it can, Hamish. Now we'll be overwhelmed favourites, but that's the last couple of games at Celtic Park that St Mirren have caused us a bit of bother with the 2-1 game. But if you remember back to I know we won the league and Ange took his eye off the ball, both eyes off the ball really.
I think both eyes were looking at London somewhere, weren't they?
Houses in London, yeah. But yeah, I mean, think about it. Cuts Main could have had like 4 goals against us at Celtic Park. So yeah, St Mirren haven't disgraced themselves in the last couple of games at Celtic Park. They'll be coming with no pressure, probably playing with no fear. And it's up to us to take care of them. And I think we will.
You going to do as a wee video post match? He has to say yes now, everyone. This is what you do. Do it live so that there's complete pressure.
But I'm going to name and shame. I'll see if Gamba's about just for 10 minutes at the William McNeil statue, and then if he is, I'll get him to do it.
Okay. You realise thousands of people are now going to be hanging about the Billy McNeil statue looking for you.
No. That's where I'll meet Gamba. Yes, I'm naming and shaming Gamba. I have a pal, but no. I'll go somewhere else and do it. I won't do it at the statue. Don't worry about that.
Very good. Gig pod plans? Anything big in the pipeline?
Nah. What do you want me to say? Nah. It's like this is a highly functioning professional channel. Despite the fact that you get idiots like me on it, like Gig Pod's just a wee laugh and something we do to make sure we're not in the pub too much, even though we actually did do something in the pub on Monday. But I don't think so. I think there'll just be a bit of review after the game on Monday. I'm not a king of self-promo, there we are, Hamish.
You should have put a warning out on Monday's episode of Gig Pod. I was out a walk and I almost fainted when I heard Rizzo call Celtic a team of losers.
Thanks for making sure people just never tune into it now after saying it. Yeah, no, I would like to actually address that. Completely out of order, and I think he was still emotional from his reaction to Matondo's goal, to the point that he couldn't even admit Matondo's goal. It was a screamer. It's unsavable. But you just ask him about it and just said it was good. You're like, well, it's more than that. It was one of the ones that it's just an unsavable goal. It doesn't matter if Boric or Foster are in that goal. It's nobody saving it. But yeah, massively harsh, and his views do not reflect mine whatsoever. Celtic aren't a team of losers. If we were a team of losers, we wouldn't have won 11 of the last 12 titles. That's mad talk.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's good when you have disagreements, and that's what I enjoy about GigPod. Anyway, I'm praising GigPod too much. Definitely check it out. I'll stick a link in the description if you've never come across it before. It's one of the best, if not the best, Celtic podcast. Stevie, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. It's been really nice to see you.
Wow, is this a new age for a relationship? We'll be back to the nonsense next week. I'll be back tomorrow to look ahead to the St Mirren game. Just finally, don't forget to subscribe if you've not done it yet. I think we're about 200 away from the big 5k. It'd be amazing if we could get there before Saturday. It costs nothing and means everything. Chat to you all soon.